having finished the Shadow Demon build, it's time to set up my next build for this year's Big Spring Contest. And that is going to be the Revell 1/48 scale Messerschmitt 262 A1A. As you can see, parts are still in the bags. And I don't know how well that's showing up, but it is Sunday, March 23rd, and I haven't started anything yet. Now, what I'm probably going to do with this, rather than doing it as a German version, nothing against the Germans, I have this thing about doing stock builds. I tend not to do them. So, I will likely be building the kit itself stock, but using some other markings, mostly ones salvaged from other kits, to make her a hypothetical, captured, defected, whatever, no longer German plane. Now, we got plenty of good detail in the plastic here. The panels, unfortunately, feel like they may be raised. I haven't opened up any of the bags yet. Yeah, those look to be raised panel lines, except for the flaps. But there's plenty of opportunity for detail here. Canopy is bagged separately, which I'm thankful for. One piece I guarantee I will not be trying to use here is this one. This is basically, for lack of a better term, a stand to make up for the fact this thing is going to be rear heavy, but supposed to be sitting on the nose. Not sitting on the nose, but tricycle landing gear. The instructions are pretty straightforward. And in looking at them, notably these steps here where it details the assembly of the guns, I'm looking in these gaps here and figuring I have plenty of room to install fishing weights, which will give me the ability to have this thing standing on tricycle landing gear without having to resort to propping up the back end of the plane. I am probably not going to install the rockets or the bombs because I still prefer this thing as a fighter, not a bomber. We'll see how much of the detail I keep open, but we're getting ready to go again. Okay, it's been almost 2 weeks since I actually recorded the intro for this one, but after doing the Iron Man build, I decided to get started on the 262. Haven't got much done yet. What I've done at this point, I've gone in and painted the insides of the fuselage and some of the cockpit pieces. It's dark gray. And I also took care of one kind of annoying thing caused by this kit's actual age. The boxing is fairly new. The molds for this kit were actually done in like 1978 or 79. And they had the copyright stuff out here visible on the bottom of the wing. So what I basically did is took a sanding stick and just gently worked that out while trying to dodge the raised panel lines. Of course, given the age of the kit, I'm actually not surprised it had raised panel lines now. But I'm going to shut off the camera now and see if I can get some actual work done. Okay, didn't get a whole lot done yesterday, but I was busy rearranging the man cave or bedroom or whatever I'm calling it this week. Alright, at this point, I've got the cockpit assembled. decal is on the console there. Not too worried about detailing the belts on the seats because at this stage you're probably not going to see much of them. I've also got the fuselage buttoned up and done some work on the seam across the top. One of the interesting things about the way this kit's engineered is the cockpit inserts from underneath. And then sits in there like so. Need to slide it back a little more. There we go. Whoop, might help if I was putting it in the correct direction. That's why it wasn't going to fit right. But there we go. Still debating putting a pilot in there. But at this point, that's where we're sitting. Okay. Now that I've got the nose gear bay installed, I'm addressing what I see as a flaw in the kit. Namely, here on the wing, there's a hole at the back here for a clear piece of rod, which they use to support the back of the plane because most of the model weight is in the back. This thing has nose gear. Well, I've gone to a much more old-fashioned solution to that problem, namely supergluing some fishing weights to either side of the nose gear door well and up here in the nose to make our nose heavy, thereby eliminating the need for that piece of rod. What I'll probably wind up doing is filling that with either some CA or some old style tube cement and then sanding it smooth. But here we go. Alright, back at it. The gun bay is now ready for insertion. Let me pick this little guile up here. Showing the 4 cannons and what I'm presuming are rigid ammo feed mechanisms. What I've done, the interior pieces are painted in gray. The guns, rather than being painted in steel like the instructions asked for, I went ahead and painted in black and then just dry brushed silver to get the effect being seen here. I think it looks better than just painting them in the steel would have. Now this is ready for insertion into the nose of the plane. Alright, continuing on. What I've done here, got the nose piece on, took a needle nose file and opened up the holes for the barrels a little better. I also opted, raise that up a little, to go ahead and leave one side of the bay open. There's a spar here that was supposed to be on the other side of the bay as well. I lost it. The carpet monster's been chewing on it, so I have no idea where it is. So I opted to just go ahead and open up this side of the gun bay. What I did is I just cut the cowl. The instructions suggest severing it completely, but I went ahead and just cut it enough to be able to bend the plastic up. Granted, I'm going to have to work on making it rigid. What I'll probably do is install a spar of some kind, because I'm sure they didn't just leave that open unassisted on the real thing. But makes for a good effect. It's one of the few times I've actually opened up a hatch like that to show the detail. But I figure since the kit was kind enough to supply the detail, I'd go ahead and use it. Next up is likely some work on the engines and the wings. Yeah, wings. Stay tuned. Okay, back at it on the 262 build. As you can see, a lot's been done since the last time I turned the camera on. I've got the engines on the wings. I just mounted the wings. The port engine nacelle is closed up, not really designed to show it off much. Got basic detailing in there, but not a lot else. The starboard nacelle is a bit more complex. Looks like I have a little bit of seam work to do here where the cowling mounts. The biggest complexity was again going in and opening up the door to show the engine detail. For the engine itself, what I did was just like I did with the guns. I went in and base coated it in black, then dry brushed them in silver. I may add a little more when I go in and do the final work. For right now, though, this is where we're sitting. Got to clean some edging off there. At this point, I'm ready for the tail wings, the rudder, and of course the landing gear. I've waited to put the landing gear on because I wanted to get the wings on without worrying about breaking the landing gear off. That, I still need to go in and paint the landing gear bays. Probably do them the same gray I did the interior here. But that's where we're sitting at the moment. I'm going to let that sit for a while. We'll go from there. Alright, at this point, next step's going to be the landing gear. I've got the tail wings and rudder in place. Probably go in and do a little bit of seam filling on the top of the rudder because it's open a little there. But as to the rest of it, I've gone in, painted the inside of the wheel wells with the same gray I used on the interior. Also did the same thing with the interior of the gun door and engine door. So at this point, it's about time to put the landing gear on and then really see where we're sitting. I'm hoping I got the weight for the nose gear right. We'll find out.